Salute, Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. Tonight, the New York Knicks took care of business in Chi-Town and pulled off a gritty, huge victory in the standings as the New York Knicks now go to the third sole seed in the East with an Orlando Magic loss tonight. And this one was really big because it sets things up for the next three games now as the Knicks win 128, 117. It was a gritty performance defensively, had to lock in late as the Bulls just did not want to go away. But captain Jalen Brunson was clutch with 45 points, 8 rebounds, and OG Anunoby, best game since returning with 24 points and a huge first quarter with 9 to begin. Then let's chop this win up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to the best chat in the biz, and a great win. And I can't wait to give out the grades, the game ball, and the flowers with this victory today, as the Knicks get 47 wins now in the season and match last season's win tally, right? As we face Boston Thursday, the first of a back-to-back, and Brooklyn on Friday, and then close out the season on Sunday, and ready for the playoffs. We're going to have our conversation tonight about the seeding and the implications of how things are set up. Cleveland, of course, still in the 5 seed, and we move up to 3rd, and Orlando are in 4 with the loss today at Houston Rockets. But the Knicks did this one on the road, which was impressive, right? The Bulls are pesky, they're feisty, and they did not go away. Andre Drummond rolled his ankle, I think in the 3rd, did not return in the game, and the Knicks had to fend off a Bulls run, which they did. But great to see OG Anunoby produce offensively the way he did. And of course, Brunson, 1A, MVP, he's Batman in Gotham right now, and we can go as far as he can take us. And I'm ready for this postseason run right now. How about you guys? Salute chat. What's up, Ronald and Buzzer Beater and Knicks Nation? Salute replay squad. Smash that like button because the streets are buzzing now. And look, we move to 15 games over 500, and we can get that 50 burger now if we win out. Boston tonight, they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. So we're going to talk about the Bucks. Obviously, the news going around the world right now is that Giannis Antetokounmpo, right, went out with a non-contact leg injury, which the team is reporting to be, I think, a calf strain, maybe a calf injury. So that could be weeks. We don't know yet, right? But the Bucks got the much-needed win, and they hold on to the 2nd seed for right now. But the Knicks can certainly catch them, right, as there's only one game between the both of us. Right, Boston, they rested Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis in this one. Maybe they rest Jason Tatum and Brown in the next game, knowing that they're going to be in a huge fight with the New York Knicks. And like Ronald says, let's go into Beantown and get that win now and surpass last season's total with 48 wins on the season. Right, we're 47 now. We've hit the Vegas overs as well, guys. But look, tonight was a great two-way performance, I felt. We got stops when we needed. It was super physical, not the kind of game that you want to be in with 3 to play, right, against a team who's going to be in 9th. But the Bulls have a lot to fight for. They're trying to get home court against Atlanta, too, who were in a dogfight with Miami today, who lost in double OT. So Miami pulled that one out, right? So the Bulls will hold on to the 9th spot thanks to the Atlanta loss. But the Bulls, had a lot to play for in this one, and they made it super physical and tough, right? Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan. But the defense, Isaiah Hartenstein, OG, the amount of times those guys, get strips and steals and help us get stops, right? They're some of the unsung heroes of this team. Of course, we'll continue to sing the praises of Jalen Brunson, but this was a team win, like Old Head said. How you doing, fam? Welcome in. Big team win, absolutely. We win as a team, we lose as a team. and I'm ready for the postseason run right now. How about you guys? Right, it's just good to win in Chi-Town as well. Um, Long may they be bad. After all the punishment the Bulls in the 90s have given us, but right now we are the better team, and it's sweet. Right now we have the 1A guy on our side this time, right? And as Captain Clutch, JB sealed the deal, man. Playing like top three MVP candidate now. It's no longer top five. It's top three. He should get serious votes, and he should be in serious contention the way he's closing out this season. 43 points the other night, right, with 8 assists. 45 points tonight with 8 assists, right? He's ruling the East right now. I don't want to hear the likes of Trae Young, Damian Lillard, anyone out East, even compared to Jalen Brunson when we're talking about point guards, right? But there's only a handful of players maybe better than Brunson in the East, and they're playing on the Boston Celtics right now. And that's the team that we want. That's the team that I want to catch. With or without Julius Randle, we're coming for the Boston Celtics. But welcome in, Will, and I keep it buzzing, guys. I see the passion after this victory. 128-117, high-scoring affair. Right, the Knicks lost in the rebounds, but 31 assists. Right, the key takeaway for me in this ball game, guys, was the ball movement. Right, we had the great call, Gus Johnson, Clyde, like old times, on the call tonight, and they were, given their flowers, their thoughts of what they're seeing, and the cutting, the player movement, and the ball movement was spectacular today. Really, I think we can play different ways without Julius Randle, and that's obviously Julius, makes us a better team in terms of another go-to scorer and an all-star, but we're having to adjust. And without Julius Randle, we can play in a different way, right? And that can be dangerous for the opponent because, we can share the ball around. No one really knows where the points are coming from outside of Brunson. And tonight, look, OG Anunoby, one of the key takeaways, found his rhythm, hit shots, got blocks. Now, we turned the ball over a little bit more today, but we are super efficient, 55% and 47% from the field. And look at those free throws, man, 95% taking care of business, right? Tyrese Halliburton, nice player, but right, doesn't come close to Jalen Brunson for me. Look at the team's records. Tyrese has had a little bit of extra help, I think, with some of the guys. He's got Pascal Siakam is there, but look, Jalen Brunson continues to beat the opponent's scheming. They plan and scheme, and they'll do anything to try to stop him. And he still puts up 45 and 8 assists as well. But credit to the support. Today it came, man. 10 of 18 for OG. Josh Hart was 6 of 7. Hart 5 of 5. Perfect. Devo 8 of 15. 53%. Right? Miles McBride wasn't as efficient offensively, but was solid. And Bojan Bogdanovic, 8 minutes tonight, was a good first half, but then didn't see any minutes. So we're going to talk about that. I did some note taking about the rotation. We have official confirmation that Alec Burks, Precious Achiuwa, out of the playoff rotation, it appears right now. And like we predicted, fam, Tibbs is going to go 8-man right now. He ain't messing around. Now, it'll be 9-man if there's, foul trouble. If there's, maybe a certain matchup, a guy's getting beasted, he will go to 9. But I think he's going to start with 8 right now. We saw it tonight, man. Kind of a little surprised that Precious didn't get in there maybe for 5 minutes to spell Josh Hart, who played the most minutes tonight, 46 as well. Part of that could be just, this was a must-win. Part of it could be we have a week's break after the regular season finishes with the play-in tournament. So I think he played guys as maximum minutes tonight. Brunson did not even sit in the in the third or fourth, I believe. So yeah, Brunson didn't even sit in the second half. So yeah, Tibbs was going all out to take care of this victory, right? Yeah, back-to-back 40-plus games is huge. and to die for. Salute once again, right? We beat the Bulls in the rebound match, but we won on assists tonight as well. Yep, we lost the rebounding, but we won on the assists, 31. Right, what did you think of the ball movement, man? OG cutting. I mentioned his factor in terms of playing above the rim. That's a big factor, man. He gives us that size that we were missing. In terms of rim running. He blocks some shots at the rim as well. He plays above the rim too. Mitchell Robinson, right, after having a really solid impact in the last game, had his moments in tonight's game, but still looks a bit underdone. But hopefully these next 3 games he'll get a solid, run, and he'll work his way back into the playoff mix in terms of bigger minutes. But look, Isaiah Hartenstein just continues to be outstanding and continues to get it done on both sides of the floor. 5 of 5 tonight. I thought Isaiah Hartenstein was once again absolutely fantastic. Right. But we got to start with the first up, the game ball, is Jalen Brunson, man. He's doing things that, are among the elite, in terms of the Knicks. And he's recorded consecutive games with 40-plus points for the second time this season. He's the third Knick to record multiple streaks of consecutive 40-point games in a season alongside BK, Bernard King, and Patrick, the captain, number 33. Right, so he's building an incredible legacy for this season alone. Right, I'm so excited for the future because Brunson's 27 and he hasn't even come into his prime yet as well. So, look, man, whatever happens this postseason, right, he's going to run the East for a minute, right? Damian Lillard's coming to the twilight years of his career. As we mentioned, Tyrese Halliburton's still around, but in terms of point guards in the East, right, Brunson's at the very, very top, right? An amazing performance, right? Yeah, and as Michael says, let's celebrate his durability as well, as Clyde referred to on the call tonight, right? He is that Iron Man, right? Not that I want him playing this many minutes because it's not ideal, but obviously there's a lot of circumstances to go in. No Randall. We've got to win these games to secure seeding, and I think he'll get a good rest before the postseason, and then it's full steam ahead as well. Nick G's in the building. Yep, great stat. Knicks are 43-4 when establishing at least a 10-point lead in the game as well. So, as I got in the caption, clutch, have we had a more clutch player on the New York Knicks since, you let me know, since Carmelo Anthony, since Bernard King, since Patrick Ewing, right? I mean, he's definitely among the most clutch Knicks in history. Had a big postseason last season, ready for another big postseason. But regular season wise, right, he's just an absolute handful, right? And with that, his grade, another A++, A double plus for Jalen Brunson, man. Could he get another Eastern Conference Player of the Month? I think he's already had one. He's had 3 Eastern Conference Player of the Weeks and an Eastern Conference Player of the Month as well. If that doesn't get you in the MVP conversation, I don't know what should, man. Right, because he's just absolutely leading us in all categories. 8 assists tonight was special, especially with the different coverages. His processing of the game is elite. They can't do anything, right? They try to trap him, and he'll find his way out. He'll split the double, or he'll find it, right? And we're going to give a lot of credit to Tibbs and the other role players because they are making life a bit easier lately for Jalen Brunson. That's special, like especially Deuce McBride coming in, giving us that other ball handler, floor spacing. Josh Hart, his ability to distribute as well. Isaiah Hartenstein too. I think we're building a perfect complementary team around Brunson's skill sets. That's other guys that can play, make, pass, and of course defend, right, around him as well. So how far can we go? Man, no one knows, but I'm excited for the ride, right? Strap yourself in because a lot of teams around the East are stumbling and bumbling, right, at the key clutch time, right, when it's gut check time, and we're coming up, we're playing our best ball, I think, at the right time, right? How the tide can change in 1 week, right? And it can when you have a player like this too. To die for a plus 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 plus, Michael Drake plus plus plus, David plus plus. Yep, game ball for Jalen Brunson, right? To die for says 1 game at a time, but if the Knicks can get the second spot, JB should be in the top 3 candidates. Yep. I might have just said it before you came in, but I said it right at the start of the show, fam. I think JB should be in the top 3 MVP discussion right now. I think top 5 was maybe going back a week or so. I think you're as good as your last 10 to 20 games, and I think, yeah, there's no one around the league better in terms of what he's doing, right? And yeah, maybe a little bit of recency bias, but it's not always how you start, it's how you finish too. And in terms of what we're doing as a franchise, right, with all the injuries, short-handed, the adversity, losing Mitch, losing Randall, losing OG, a huge shake-up trade, losing Barrett and Quickly, and to still keep everything together like glue, to still finish possibly in the 2nd seed, it says so much about this team, about the coach. Yeah, the East has had its, funkiness, I think, with other teams. But look, 50 wins would be huge. As I mentioned just at the start of the show, if you guys didn't hear, Boston went down tonight to the Bucks. Obviously, we're waiting on what's going to happen with Giannis. Looks to be set to miss some time with what could be a calf strain. Went down with a non-contact injury as well. So, look, I pray that he's healthy. I don't want to see any of the big guys injured, but look, no sympathy from me. We've dealt with so many injuries this season. But in terms of the Knicks, the big story is that Boston rested Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis tonight, right? So in the next game, maybe they rest those two again, and maybe it's Tatum or Brown too. So I think the Knicks have got a great chance to win the next game, right? And of course, the way that Brunson is playing right now, I won't be surprised if he goes for 40 for 3 in a row too, right? Absolutely incredible performance that we are witnessing, right? And we should not gloss over what we're seeing, man. It is special what Jalen Brunson is doing. And if you've been a Knicks fan for 10 years, for 20 years, for 50 years, Jalen Brunson would still be among a very small group of players, right, that are doing what he's doing right now. And in terms of, this is league-wide, to top 4 in scoring, breaking records as well. And we'll give out the flowers to the other guys because, yeah, DiVincenzo is having a really special year. And good to see OG, right, be that Robin tonight, right? I thought OG has the potential, right, to be that Robin. Obviously, DiVincenzo has been that guy for most of the season since Randall went down, right? And I think those two are really key. There's no doubt our 3 best offensive players are Brunson, DiVincenzo, and OG Anunoby when he's on. And that's no knock on anyone else. I think anyone else can get hot, but they're not known as scorers really. But OG is obviously known for his defense. But let's give out his flowers next, right now. How did you see OG's performance, guys? 35 minutes. We'll start with the real positive is that he doesn't look like he's feeling the effects of the elbow, which is, music to my ears, that's for sure. And if he's fully healthy, like everyone predicted, he's going to be the huge X factor heading in. Everyone's important, but if there's 2 X factors, I think that can give us a little bit more. I do think Hart, Devo, Brunson, they're giving us their maximum. But if there's 2 X factors for me in the playoffs that can give us that little bit more, I felt, is Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby, right? And if those 2 can get back to their best or play at their best alongside the other guys, then I think that maximizes the New York Knicks' potential, really. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know. Who are your X factors heading into the postseason, right? It could be guys that you just need to produce the way they're producing, or maybe someone that you feel like can step up that little bit more as well. Like maybe Deuce McBride, could be that other X factor as well, because right, he's made a name for himself this season, and I think Deuce McBride is capable of going off for 25 to 30 points, right? With the certain defenses that they're gonna game plan on Brunson. I think a guy like Deuce McBride can be really key handling the ball next to Brunson, helping him navigate the traps, the screen and all of that. But next man up, right, could be top 5 best games as a Knick, right? January was a long way back. I forget, OG had some incredible games back in January, but for tonight, OG Anunoby, I think, had his at least top 5 best game as a Knick. 10 of 18, 55%, 4 of 6 from 3-point land, right, including a huge shot in the fourth quarter to help stave off the run. But that's really, really key. Not only is the elbow looking healthy, but to see the shot fall tonight was really positive signs for what's to come. Right, 4 of 6. That's the OG that we know and love, man. 3 rebounds, an assist, just 2 turnovers, a block, and 24 points, right, on a plus 12, right? So OG Anunoby, huge in the plus minus, has not had a game with the New York Knicks since being in the minus as well. So he continues to make history with that as one of the longest tenured players since 2003, I believe, with a 21 game stretch of being in the plus minus, man. He oozes class and is a winning player for me. John from Still Knicks fans in the building, what's up? John, yeah, great complimentary pieces, OG, but we can't forget that he can be a Robin in terms of offensively too. He's hasn't had huge offensive games since coming in, but he's had really, really good solid two-way games too. But if he's capable of putting up 25 to 30 in the playoffs, that's going to be huge for us and for Brunson and the rest of the guys. So big time. Man, I love him and Devo together complementing Jalen Brunson for the three-point shooting. They're both defenders as well. And of course, it's just great to have Hart there as the glue guy in the starting 5 as well. So tonight was the closest thing to playoff rotation. Maybe things don't change too much. So let me know your impressions as we'll go through the rotation in a minute. But look, with OG, right, his grade for this performance today, right, he'll get the Warrior badge for his defense, right, to help defend and shut down or neutralize their guys. I think DeRozan played better in this game, but obviously OG Anunoby's defense and switchability is big, and he's going to get quite a few icons today, man. He'll get a second game ball for me for his offensive performance, right? Huge. And in terms of the accuracy, right, he was huge from 3 as well, and he'll get the crown because this was a game where you could really you could see the vision for the future in terms of the rest of the postseason next season as well, and why OG is worth the money that he is worth too. Right, he's a game changer for this team. His unselfishness, he doesn't need the ball. He plays awesome off the ball, cutting, right, had a great baseline cut in the first quarter, 9 points to start the game. And he was really that early X factor to ease the defense, off Brunson a little, right? And he's going to eat that little bit more, man. 31 assists tonight, great ball movement. So overall, my grade is going to be an A+ for OG Anunoby, right? Awesome performance. David also says if Bogey steps it up, we're going to be dangerous. Yeah. I don't know how much Bogey is going to play because, as I just mentioned, 8 minutes tonight. Tibbs, I think, in a game where defense he thinks is going to help us win, I think he'll continue to ride Hart. 46 minutes from Hart tonight as well. And I think, look, Tibbs is coaching for kind of a legacy still, right? Things can change quickly. If we were a first round exit, people are going to be talking about things different. So I think that first round for Tibbs he's going to coach like his career depends on it, right? Whether or not it's true or not, right? I'm not here to debate that, but facts are the facts. If the Knicks exit in the first round, the conversations around Tibbs will be different. So that leads me to believe that Tibbs will coach the first round like his life depends on it. And I think he will probably play Josh Hart 44, 45, 46 like he did tonight. Brunson probably close to 42, 45 as well. And we'll see. 8-man rotation is a little dicey. Hopefully, if he does do it in the first round, then he adjusts later in the series or, for the second round if we get through. But look, we have a lot of Swiss Army knives, so I do understand, that he likes to deploy the guys that he likes, in different positions. As long as we have our two anchors in Mitch and Ihart to tag team and defend the rim, and then we have our switchable wings with Hart, OG, DiVincenzo. I think you can, it's up for debate, but you can leave Precious Achiuwa out. You can leave Bogdanovic out. Bogdanovic will probably play, but maybe under 10 minutes. And then on the perimeter, you've got your Deuce McBride still as well, who can sub in for Devo and Brunson as well. So, look, it's 3 Swiss Army knives off the bench, and I think Tibbs will probably favour the 8-man. I think it's looking that way too. But yeah, as also Nick Yak mentioning as well, we did hear that Bogdanovic is dealing with the wrist complaint as well. Yeah, so good pick up on that, fam. Appreciate that. That might be the reason he didn't play more in the second half. He did took a fall and did fall on that wrist, and Bogey was questionable coming into the game as well. So yeah, I think Bogey would probably normally play a little bit more, but in the playoffs we'll wait and see. But yeah, A pluses coming in for OG. Great to see it. Ronald says, JB, I think he's in the 7th player to score 35 and 8 in the 4th straight ball game as well. Yeah, great look out for that. Shirley's loving it. OG gets an A for buzzer beater. Yeah, in terms of the legacy, we gave Brunson the crown top 3 MVP race for me right now. I think that's what is true. Recently, you're as good as your last 10 to 20 performances, right? And there isn't a player hotter in the league, I think, than Brunson in these last 10 to 20 games, too. So shout out to anyone who thought Brunson still has another gear, because the front office did believe that as well, Leon Rose, and we're seeing it this season. Some people laughed, actually, after the playoffs last season, to think that Brunson could go to that next level, but we're seeing it in terms of durability, the 3-point shot, distributing with the assists as well. But just finalizing my thoughts on OG Anunoby, he is one of my 2 X factors in the playoffs, because we've really got consistent play from Devo, from Brunson offensively, but tonight's 24 points, right? It's questionable whether we win by, barely, or we win at all if OG doesn't have an outstanding offensive game. So against better opponents, it'll be good to see OG hit those shots, right? And in terms of his ability to play physical, post up a little bit, finish above the rim, all of those things are exactly what this team needs, because we do suffer with a little bit of undersized players, with Devo only 6'4", 6'5", Hart 6'4". Those guys do get blocked at the rim occasionally, and they do struggle to finish in traffic occasionally too. So to have a substitute like for Randall in terms of a bully guy like OG, I think that can be his role. Help us get some easier points at the rim, and also hopefully get fouls. OG didn't get a foul call today as well, which is surprising. But yeah, this one was a super physical Eastern Conference battle, my friends, too. So yeah, continue to let me know your thoughts. We shout you out, and Nick's buzzing right now. Smash that like button. An A plus for OG, and an A plus plus for JB, and 2 game balls to go with them too. Next man up, we will talk about the big ragu, Donte DiVincenzo. Right? Did you guys peep the T-shirt on MSG? Right, that Clyde and the camera zoomed in on as well. It went from ragu to riches as well. Right. Shout out to anyone who's selling that merch or whoever came up with that. But that was cool to see. From ragu to riches. A fan was wearing that T-shirt in the crowd. And with that said, let's look at Devo's numbers now, because he was the 3rd leading scorer tonight with 21 points. Right. Got 4 rebounds, 6 assists too. Really versatile. 3 of 9 from deep. Not his best 3-point shooting performance, but finished with 8 of 15. Was efficient from the field, 37 minutes. So yeah, he's gonna see those big minutes as well. Won't be surprised if he hits that 38-minute in the playoffs. And with that said, the rotations, right? I've got some notes, right? So obviously, Tibbs is going to have to balance the scoring on the floor with these substitutions, and that's going to be really big to our success. And I think he's starting to really figure out the non-Brunson minutes too. So we'll talk about that right now as I bring up Devo on the screen. Let me know if you guys had any observations about this, close to playoff rotation we saw tonight, right? It might be the playoff rotation. Maybe Bogey plays a little bit more. Like we said, he's dealing with the wrist injury. But what we saw was basically what Tibbs is going with. And bear with me on this, man. So first quarter, with an 8-man rotation, right? Your first substitutes, you had Isaiah Hartenstein comes out and Mitch comes in. This is about the halfway point of the first. These are the early substitutions so that these guys can come back in earlier with the bench. So you got Isaiah out first. DiVincenzo comes out first, right? And you have Mitchell Robinson and Deuce McBride come in. Then OG eventually comes out with Bogdanovic coming in. And you've got Mitch, Deuce, and Bogdanovic playing together with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson as well, right? And that is so you've got 2 key pillars in Isaiah and Devo that can play with your bench a little bit more and keep things steady, keep the ball moving, keep the buckets coming. So I like that, and I think that's gonna work best, right? So I'm on board. And then obviously Brunson and Hart play the entire first quarter. Right, and they're gonna play big minutes, and they are gonna have to do that. Right, it's not ideal, but what happens at the start of the second quarter is that finally Jalen Brunson comes out, right, and then DiVincenzo comes back in. Mitchell Robinson then comes out. Isaiah Hartenstein back in as well. So with JB, Mitch off the floor, Hart still playing, mind you. Josh Hart still has not substituted out. But you've got then Devo and you've got Isaiah back in together with Deuce and Bogey, right? And then later in the second quarter, Hart finally comes out, and then OG comes back in, and then finally Brunson will come back in, and Bogdanovic will go back out as well. And then eventually Deuce comes out, and then Hart comes back in as well. So I think it's working. We've noticed a significant improvement, I think, in the non-Brunson minutes in these last few ball games. And I think that the key to that is Donte, right? Coming out early at the 6-minute mark of the first, and so that he can come back in either later in the first or to start the second and play while Brunson's sitting too. I mean, it's not really rocket science. Obviously, I don't know how it worked or didn't work before. OG being back, it does cause that big ripple effect, no doubt about it. But in terms of DiVincenzo on the season, he's broken 3-point records. Wasn't awesome tonight from three, only 33%, but efficient from the field, right? 8 of 14 on the field. And in terms of his playmaking tonight, he was 6 assists, so he gets a huge tick for that, and 4 rebounds, right? And of course, 21 points is huge. So, we need the production offensively from DiVincenzo, and he delivered tonight with 21 points, solid performance, and from the field he was on target, so he'll get the badge too. With that said, what is your grade for DiVincenzo? Right, I think just a really, really solid performance. He'll get a B+ for me. Right, love the 6 assists and the 21 points. Right, great floor game, both sides really. Good ball movement tonight. 31 assists, but to have your shooting guard who could pick up 6 assists is great. It says a lot about the reads, the IQ, and as well, he's not selfish. Too. Only 15 shot attempts tonight. Yeah, and we love the shirt, Buzzer, absolutely. From ragu to riches, right? You love it. I love the chemistry this team has too. It's a feel-good vibe, for real. Buzzer says also Brunson's top 5. And Nick Yak says Brunson our best point guard since the one and only Walt Clyde. Yeah, no disagreement from me. Yeah, absolutely buzzing on that one. He's warming up too for a historic run, says Hidalgo. Yeah, I'm waiting for it too. Right, last season was special. But I think this team complements Brunson a little more in terms of having, a healthier Mitch and Isaiah to tag team, to protect the rim with the bench unit too. And we've got shooters for when Brunson's out there. We've got better defenders, obviously with OG being that anchor on the wing. And I think, one of the unsung heroes is Josh Hart too. Look out for him to have a huge postseason as well. Buzzer gives Donte the A. Yeah, I like it. And as we're going to hit on Josh Hart right now, Michael Drake says, Hart has elite rebounding, like a famous rebounder. Yeah, I've compared Josh Hart to the Worm 2.0, Dennis Rodman, too. Some people liked that comparison, some people didn't. Right. And I wasn't trying to say that their games are completely the same. I just think the hustle, the will to pull in every single rebound is like the same of a Dennis Rodman too. Obviously Rodman was 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", I think, and had that on his side. But in terms of the will, the fight for every rebound, Josh Hart is that Worm 2.0 for me. And what is a good comparison for Donte DiVincenzo? I mean, I'm not trying to compare him to a Nick Legend, Allen Houston, but you could compare Donte DiVincenzo to maybe a John Starks in terms of just, can get blazing hot and punish you from deep as well. And he can get streaky, too. So, and Starks was a gritty kind of guy like Devo too. They both defended. They both like to get in people's face as well. I know Josh Hart wears the number 3 too. Well, so we're lucky we've got these two guys, and that's why we're sitting here right now, talking about 50 wins this season, right, for the first time in a decade, right. That's all we have to do now, guys. We're here, and 3 more wins gets the Knicks to that 50 burger, right. We'll be celebrating, eating the burgers live on screen, right, if the Knicks can get to 50 wins. But the most important thing is the seeding. And we'll look at the road ahead after these grades, and we'll talk about where the Knicks are likely to finish, who we're likely to face now as we get closer and closer to the postseason that we're ready for, man. We will be talking to some guests as well after the season. The regular season's a wash. Next week is a little bit of a break. We'll have MSG Network's Bill Pedo on. We've lined that up next week. That's going to be, I think, next Thursday or next Wednesday or Thursday as well. So keep an eye out for that. We've got more content coming during the break. We'll be enjoying the play-ins as well. It looks like Golden State is going to be facing LA. That's going to be a huge play-in game as we can sit back and put our feet up as well. We're basically all but clinched the postseason now, and we're going to let these play-in guys fight it out, right? Tonight's win was critical, and it helps set us up, right? So Josh Hart is going to be up next, and we're going to talk about Hart's impact, like Michael said. Hart played 46 minutes. As I said before, not ideal. I just think Tibbs, again, he's coaching for wins and losses, no doubt. And Hart is that Swiss Army knife, right? He's a player you can trust still on both sides of the floor. 13 rebounds and 7 assists, right? So that lets you know both sides of the floor. He's rebounding and he's dishing, right? But not only that, 17 points. Tonight, he hit some clutch shots, right? A clutch mid-range J on the fadeaway, plus 17 as well for Hart. So, yeah, another winning player, right? Basically, Josh Hart is, a certain version of OG who's in a smaller body, without the shot, right? But, he's probably he's a better rebounder than OG. Obviously, and if he was 6'7", he'd be an even better rebounder as well. He's got an elite motor. Does Josh Hart, in terms of the playoffs, he's the kind of guy who's going to be able to play, 42, 45 minutes, and fight through that, while the opponent gasses out. A guy like Josh Hart is going to keep going, and he's going to keep going, and he's going to keep going late down the stretch, right? He is the team's glue guy for me, I mean, everyone has their kind of role. Hart is definitely that glue guy for me. Yeah, and another X factor heading in towards the playoffs, right? We saw the last game against the Bulls when Hart missed, the bogus ejection from Scott Foster, and that changed the game, right? Tonight was different. Tonight we had enough physicality and enough dog in us to stave off the Bulls because they were hungry. The Bulls were playing hungry tonight, and thankfully for a guy like Hart, he's able to get those loose balls. And as Steve Kerr said famously, Josh Hart gets you those 30-70 balls, right? Not even the 50-50s, too. And Buzzer Beater says Gerald Wilkins for a comparison for Donte as well. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, and of course, Coach Nick. Coach Nick, as I said, will come on, B-ball breakdown, and we'll be chopping it up. Nick Yak says, knowing where the ball is most likely headed and boxing out is what he does. Yeah, you sum that up well. Experience for me as well. For a lot of guys on this ball club that are still fairly young, Brunson's only 27. Deuce McBride's young as well. Mitchell Robinson's still young. Isaiah's still pretty young. Hart is he's 29, so he's in that older, line of guys on the team with Julius. Last season, he was the longest tenured NBA, the fourth active, longest tenured guy to never play a playoff game. And of course, that changed last season. But what impressed me in the playoffs last season is that Hart didn't really look scared. He didn't look out of place. And he didn't look shook, right? He dominated the Cleveland matchup. So I think, his headiness on the court during big moments, I think, is big. Now, he does have that tendency to throw a rocket pass, turn it over as well. But really, that's, the good, far outweighs the bad with Josh Hart. And he is definitely a critical player for us, and it can't be understated, right? He is a lightning rod. That is my comparison too, in terms of when he's on, the team's basically 99% on, right? Sometimes when a player is off, the team can still be on, but 99 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, if Josh Hart's off, right, or if Josh Hart's on, the team is on, as well. So yeah, he can really fire us on all cylinders. Now for me, Hart is going to get an A. An A for tonight. He was on target, hit big shots, 17 points is awesome, right? Considering you've only got 3 guys coming off your bench to win, we're going to need most of our starters to score points, right? Obviously, one of our guys off the bench is Mitch, so he's not going to bring a whole lot of points. Hopefully, he gets his chance. We'll talk about Mitch with the alley-oops coming up. But yeah, with Deuce, with Bogey, they're going to need to come in off the bench and put up some points. But if we're getting, 15 points to 17 with Hart, that's gravy, right? And of course, 4 of 4 from the free throw, and 1 of 1 from deep to 6 of 7. Right, just an outstanding performance from Josh Hart. Buzzer beater's gone with the A as well, and Michael's gone with the A+ for Josh Hart. David says hopefully getting with JJ Redick will help out the shooting next season as well. Yep. Great point too, fam. Hart's really worked on his shot since the All-Star period, and it's really helped out, no doubt. Now, with that said, I don't want to discount the fact that Hart can still improve at his age too. As guys continue to put in the work, as we saw with Donte DiVincenzo this season and breaking those records, right? If you're always willing to improve your game, there's chances to improve, right? And I believe in Mitch and the free throws. I think, he's never going to be an elite three-point shooter, a free throw shooter, based on what we see. But if he really puts in the work, right, he could become really serviceable. And I think that is key for Mitchell Robinson. Right, in the playoffs, he's obviously going to be off the bench, but it's going to be key for his development, his growth, to hit those free throws so that he can play on the court, down the stretch, too. And we're not going to see that hacker Mitch as well, right? That could be critical too. Let's say there's a game where Isaiah Hartenstein can get into foul trouble. We will need Mitchell Robinson to come up big as well. So yeah, I'm buzzing for the Celtics game, Michael and guys. Right, I think they will rest probably another guy at least. They, Horford tonight, KP, and we'll wait and see. But this victory helps go a long, long way for us. Knicks 26 champs asks if you could add one great Knick to this team, who would it be? Ewing, Houston, Spree, or Melo? Great question, man. The first thought that comes to my mind is Patrick. I think if we have a dynamite center offensively, I think that would take this team the furthest. But my second probably favorite choice would be Carmelo. I mean, to have Jalen Brunson and Carmelo together with the wing defenders with OG and the rim protectors that we also have as well. I think that could definitely work better than the 2013 season, right? Because you got more wing defense and you've got more scoring to help Melo, and you've got the rim protection that Tyson Chandler used to provide with Isaiah and Mitch twofold as well. And then look, I mean, I love Houston, but I think we kind of have a lot of that covered with Devo and Deuce McBride. My third choice would be Latrell Sprewell, be another dynamic wing as well with this squad with Jalen Brunson. That would be special, man, as well. And I tell you who I'd love to substitute as an injury reserve for Julius Randle, wouldn't you love to just substitute a Larry Johnson, man, in place of Julius Randle being out? Wouldn't you love to substitute an Anthony Mason or Charles Oakley at the 4 spot? Right, that would be nuts, right? But yeah, exciting times, man. I love to see, the former Knicks connect with the current Knicks, right, and join the eras together, right? But look, Hart gets the A, and we're going to talk about Isaiah Hartenstein up next, guys. 5 of 5 from the field, right? 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 11 points, and a +9, right? The amount of times he had an incredible putback, to help stave off the run, right? I lost count, and he's been really clutch since, since his minutes started to go up too. And he's, I mean, we could label every player an X factor, but right, he's in that category of indispensable for me. There's players that are X factors and important to the team, and there is players that are just indispensable, like a Jalen Brunson. I think the other guy is Isaiah Hartenstein. What do you guys think with that as we look at his numbers and give out his flowers right now? The biggest beneficiary, is he to get Mitchell Robinson back, because I think obviously a lot was on his shoulders with Precious having to play bigger minutes. But, with Mitch back, it kind of does relieve some of the pressure on Isaiah, right? As, one of the 2 major rim protectors, which is key to Thibodeau's defense, right? The recipe for a league best defense is wing help, but obviously the paint presence that Isaiah provides, and Mitch as well, right? And as I label Mitch an X factor, it's because that spot is so critical, But obviously with Isaiah Hartenstein and what he provides, to me it's indispensable, right? And a 5 of 5 gives you a little bit of scoring, assisting as well, and he's the connector through the defense of the zone as well. AR says Billy Donovan better start packing his bags to Kentucky. It looks like that's going to happen, man. Bulls will make the play-in. Who knows whether they can get out of that or not, but yeah, the Bulls dealing with a lot of woes with injuries, underachievement is the key to the Billy Donovan era. But talk about the opposite of underachieving, right? Isaiah Hartenstein, ever since he came in, has overachieved, right? And he's going to get his grade right now. As I pull it up, let me know what you think of Isaiah's performance. But as they mentioned on the call, he's going to be that free agent, right? And I think I'm very positive that the Knicks will be able to keep him. I think a lot will go into it, whether, he likes playing where he is. He believes he's got a huge role. Obviously the market, the happiness of his partner, the family, and I do think Isaiah will stay. I really do. I think that's the biggest piece of business that Leon Rose will focus first on in the off season is to re-sign, extend Isaiah Hartenstein, because as I said, he's indispensable with what we're doing, And people always, look in amazement. They ask, like, how can the Knicks continue winning without Randle, right? How do the Knicks continue to fight and win shorthanded? Well, it's reasons because we have guys like Isaiah, Hart, unselfish players that are willing to do whatever is necessary, whether it's scoring, defense, connecting with assists, right? They do it all, and that's how you can win without another all-star, right? So that goes into how indispensable he is, for me. So A+ for Isaiah Hartenstein. Michael's gone with the B+, salute. David says, Hart, give him his 13 milli. He's worth it, and honestly, it's not that bad of a salary. I think that might be a little on the lower side in terms of what the other teams will offer. I think we might finish on a 15, maybe a 14, 15, I think. Um, but obviously, this is going to be setting him up for life. This is the generational contract, the generational wealth that Isaiah Hartenstein will be getting for the first time in his career as well. So you can understand it's a huge decision for him and his family too. He's a player who's fighting through, Achilles, soreness and all of that. And all of that does weigh on your mind for the future, fam. So he will settle for nothing less than the 4 years, wherever it's at. As Michael's been talking about too, 4 for 65. That would mean that it's on the close to the 16 per. So yeah, that wouldn't be surprising. Maybe we can get him for less, though, I think. We'll see. Can Mitch get his free throw shooting to 75%? Buzzer. It's going to take a lot of work, I will say that. I think anything's possible, but I'm not holding my breath. I think if he can get to 70, would be a big win. 65, I'd take it. Right now he's shooting less than 40% this season. Last season I think he was at 45. So that would require a huge jump alone just to get it to 65 too. So 75 would be something would really have to change drastically with the shooting form, I think. And Michael's asking, do you believe we can get to the Eastern Conference Finals still with Julius being out? Yep. I think it's possible. Definitely it is. The second round is going to be obviously what's key, right? The first round, the keys to that is avoid Philly and avoid Miami. And I think we can beat any one of the Pacers, the Bull, the Magic. We can beat, the Cleveland. We can beat them in the first round, pretty straightforward. The second round, it depends who we face, I think. But yeah, definitely we can get to the third round. It's possible. Yeah. As we start to move towards the bench, Deuce McBride coming up, but the starters were huge tonight, all in the plus, right? Brunson +9, Devo 7, Isaiah 9, and Hart 17. And OG 12, right? With an 8-man rotation, as I said before, your starters better come to play. And today they did. In this gritty Eastern Conference victory, right? Sending the Bulls into panic mode, fighting for that 9th spot, right? Meanwhile, things get easier for the New York Knicks, right? In that sole 3rd seed. Right now, we've got a few more grades to give out, including Tibbs. So continue rocking along with us. Salute Replay Squad. And then we'll talk about the playoff seedings, right? And what lies ahead for these New York Knicks. Next up, Deuce McBride. Coming up. As I said before, didn't shoot that efficiently. Had some really nice open looks today with the ball movement once again. Was outstanding. But Deuce, those minutes are so important, and a player like him, I'm glad that he's getting this opportunity now. I will say, I think the playoffs last season was a really big game changer for Deuce McBride. And the reason that is because I think it's important a young player can experience some form of winning, which allows them, to go into the off season and know what they've got to work on, know where they can, help improve the team and improve their game. And I think it can't be stated enough how important it was for Deuce McBride to play, in the second round of the playoffs last season against Miami. And what you see this season is a player who's came back a better player, he's come back, he's worked on the shot. He knows that, last season in the postseason, his offense just really wasn't helping the Knicks, in those non-Brunson minutes. And he's come back and he's worked on a lot of his game, right? And I'm really excited and ready to see what Deuce can do in his second go in the playoffs. So tonight he went 3 of 10 and 1 of 6 from deep, 2 rebounds and 2 fouls, right? And he went 7 points on a -2. So still a handy 7 points. Gets his 10 shots up. Of course, he's gonna need to put shots up off the bench too, and help space the floor out. But yeah, tonight was just one of the nights where he wasn't feeling it from deep. But you take the defense, right? He was only a -2 in those 21 minutes, despite being that inefficient too. So yeah, really valuable piece for us. Looking forward to what he can do in the playoffs. So he will get his 20+ minutes. It's looking like right now. So as some grades are coming through, let me know your thoughts on Deuce for the postseason and tonight. Right, he's playing like a most improved player. Got his new contract, and yeah, the offensive players hate to see him defending them because he makes you earn every single possession. Right. For this game tonight, I'm going to give Deuce. I'm going to give him a C+. Right. We still pulled out a huge hard-fought victory. He was still important to that, but yeah, just inefficient from the field. But you love his fight, his defense. Continue to work on that, Deuce McBride. And he is definitely a player that has not reached his ceiling, right? If we've seen a DiVincenzo leap this year, if we've seen a Brunson leap this year, Deuce McBride will be one of the key Knicks to watch in the future as well, because there'll be a lot of conversations in the off season about what the Knicks might need. This all-star, that guy, this guy. But with the current squad that the Knicks have, I think we're closer than people think. And maybe we don't need to make any major move. Maybe it's just some minor tinkering with the continued development and the continued improvement of these current players as well. So that is going to be key. Yeah, and I want to see Deuce McBride in the postseason, right? Swish those threes, young fella. And that's going to be a big swing skill for us moving forward. And of course, Bojan Bogdanovic, right, coming off a really good game, went 1 of 4. He'll get an incomplete tonight because he, looked like he was a DNP in the second half. Hurt his wrist. He came in questionable as well. So you love the fact that he, fought to play in this game, dealing with a wrist complaint and was questionable coming in. Didn't get a foul call, which I thought he should have got. And Bogey didn't return in that second half. So, right, I can understand. With that said, he's going to be just as important than anyone off the bench, and providing that skill set to stretch the floor out. Worthy to note that Bogdanovic went 1 of 2 from deep as well, so 50%, and there's no reason to believe that he wouldn't have gone, 3 or 5 had he stayed and played the second half, right? Or 2 or 4, as well. So incomplete. Buzzer also gives the incomplete. If Hart can get an additional 7 to 8 points from shooting, would be big too, 100%. But I think Tibbs has got him playing a different kind of way. He's made reference to the fact that he's not shooting those threes because Tibbs prefers him, around near the rim, the foul line extended to play make as well. The biggest thing Mitch has got to improve on is his conditioning right now, and that's going to come with time. 100%. Knicks 26 champs. Yep. Great comment. You guys are on fire. Appreciate you as always. Keep it buzzing, right? So yeah, we hit on Miles, right? We hit on Bogey incomplete, and then Mitchell Robinson. Right now we will hit on, and then Tibbs. Right. With Mitch, obviously playing against bench bigs is going to help offset the fact that his conditioning isn't at where it needs to be. But obviously he's going to have to be better, right? We need a somewhat version of Mitch when he was before the injury, right? And no doubt he can continue to rebound well, right? They don't teach size, uh, like like they say, pause, and his length 7'1". I thought tonight he got his hands on a couple of rebounds, but just couldn't grasp it. But what I would have liked him to do is tip the ball back out, right? What Mitch tries to do is he tries to grab every single rebound, even when it's heavily contested. And I think sometimes you just got to know ones that it's, when you're just surrounded and you're swarmed. And I think he's the longest guy in terms of his wingspan, and he can tip it back out. So I think that's going to be something he can do while the conditioning comes along. Obviously, we talked about the free throw shooting tonight. If he can, hit some kind of, rhythm and at least split his free throws, I think that's going to help offset the hacker Mitch a little bit. What promotes the hacker Mitch is if he starts to miss both, and then they'll do it again. If they go hacker Mitch and he splits the two, they might think twice about doing it again. So that's key. Not that it's a huge, not that the bar is set very high, but if you can split those free throws, that's going to be important, right? So Mitch didn't really get any alley-oops tonight. Was +2, 1 rebound in 19 minutes, right? 2 points. So yeah, one of his worst games since returning in terms of just not having as much impact on the game. Struggled a bit from time to time as well, but right, he's got a huge role to play. Right, Mitch will get a C for me tonight, but once again, it doesn't change the fact that I think he is one of the two biggest X factors in the postseason. Right, we've got 3 more games remaining, and then we have a nice break. So I think that is going to be good for for Mitch to get these next 3 hitouts, and then work on his conditioning throughout that break as well. Doing those drills, hopefully working on those free throws as well. And then next up, Tom Thibodeau, a guy who could hold the key to the Knicks getting to the second round, just like Michael was asking before. If you guys think we can get to the second round, or the third round, this guy is as key as anyone, right? On the court even, because what I'm seeing now is he's putting guys in better positions to help the team win. Obviously, since OG returned, you start to see Tom Thibodeau more happy. And who could blame him? When you're getting these performances from OG with 24 points, right, and defensive stout play. But with Thibodeau, I like what I'm seeing in terms of the rotation now, right? It's no time to be sentimental. Right, I know Precious Achiuwa can help, but his play has dipped, right, recently. There's no doubt about it. One thing that's key for the other guys too, and it's not always what the other guys aren't doing, it's just what can help the current guys, is rhythm. And the more minutes they play, the more in rhythm that they're going to get. And we've noticed the trend. Bogdanovic start to look better once we took Burks out, right? OG's come back in. Precious has gone out, right? And OG thrived tonight as well. So, I mean, it explains itself, fam, right now. Guys are playing more minutes. They're looking more in rhythm. You got to deal with, obviously, the fatigue, going 8-man rotation. But for me, the biggest positive is the substitution patterns now as well. As I go through it once again. Salute everyone. The first quarter subs, you got Hart and Devo that come out early so that they can come back in earlier to play with the bench. And then you've got Mitch, Deuce, and Bogey come in for OG to play with Hart and JB, right, as well. And then obviously when JB hits the floor, hits the bench, you've got DiVincenzo and Isaiah that both come back in, subbing in for Mitch and JB as well. The guy who's going to have to shoulder the biggest load is Josh Hart, because he stays in right up until early in the second, and he hasn't substituted out yet as well. But he's probably the most durable player on this team. So you can, if there is one player that you are going to bet on playing the most minutes, I think Josh Hart is the safest bet, right? He's obviously built like a linebacker. He's strong, he's durable, and he's the glue guy to keep it all together. But outside of that, Tibbs made timeouts when the Bulls made their run. They cut it to 7. Tibbs made great timeouts to stave off the run, and he also made multiple coaching challenges as well. The first one was successful. The second one was 50-50 as well. But I like what I'm seeing so far. Obviously, we're beating zones comfortably now. Remember when the zone used to frustrate the Knicks and it used to hurt us? But right now, I think all the different defensive schemes that other teams have thrown at the Knicks in the last 10 games, we've pretty much, navigated our way through them and made it, made positive, minutes out of them. So I think, Tibbs has got his best fight ahead, though. The postseason's going to be a different story. But I'm not willing to bet against our team because I think, right, we just have the juice. We have that X factor that some of these other teams don't have, right? And I think it's key that the guys complement each other, right? As we have the crazy halftime buzzer beater as well for Donte DiVincenzo to put us back up 6, right? What a wild finish to that second quarter where Kobe White got a steal and got a 3 to cut it to 3. But with 1 second remaining, DiVincenzo, right, the franchise leading sniper, heaves it from half court, fam. The first of the season, right, in the away building, man. That sucked the air out of the building at the half, which was good to see, man. Now, as I bring up the table and the standings, we move towards the road ahead tonight. We celebrate this victory, but we move on to what is going to be one of the biggest games of the season, right? We win the next one, and 50 wins, is moves towards the likely side, right? So with Brooklyn and the Bulls to come at MSG, right? The next game against the Boston Celtics could be the decider in terms of 50 wins or not. Now, as I bring that up, that's it. We have Philly picked up the win, right? So we'll see where they look in the standings, but the New York Knicks will finish ahead of Philly. So that is another big win on the season. A lot of people felt that Philly are clearly ahead of the Knicks. Well, the Knicks are going to finish ahead of Philly now, right? It's a sweet feeling, and we're very close to clinching. As tonight, the Milwaukee Bucks clinched, right? The Knicks sit just 1 game back of the Milwaukee Bucks now, with one less win. And Orlando, with their loss tonight, the Knicks break that tiebreaker that they were winning, and we move ahead by 1 game, right? So that is key. Orlando will face Philly. Orlando will face the Bucks, Philly, and then the Bucks again as well. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the biggest stories around the NBA to come out of tonight, right? Just tough sight to see, and I pray that he's okay. I want him to be a factor, but it didn't look good. It does look like he's probably going to miss at least a week, I would say. I mean, you can't rush that. So with that said, the Magic will face the Bucks twice without Giannis, right? And with Damian Lillard and the rest of their guys, it's tough to see the Bucks even winning any of those matchups against the Magic. So with that said, we're looking at the table, man, I could see Orlando climbing up to the 3rd spot. I could see the New York Knicks climb up into 2nd. Now, that is a real possibility with Giannis Antetokounmpo out. If the Bucks lose their final 3, the Knicks win out, I think that's it, man. The second seed will be ours, right? Obviously, it's in our fate now. Orlando can't finish ahead of us if we win our next 3. If we win 2 out of our next 3, Orlando will have to still win all 3 to finish ahead of us, right, with the tiebreaker. Now, so Orlando will still face Philly, the Bucks twice and Philly. Well, so Orlando, once again, they're going to have to win all 3 if we go 2-3. So it's still very likely that the Knicks will finish ahead of the Magic, right? So percentages, I'm going to give it to you now, man. I think there is probably now a 70% chance. I'll actually say 60% chance that the Knicks finish in 3rd. Probably a 35% chance that we'll finish 2nd. And probably a 5% chance we'll finish 4th as well. So look out for matchups in the 6-7 range, right? Once again, 60% chance we finish 3rd, which means we will face someone in the 6th spot. And I think there's a 35% chance we'll win out and we'll finish in that 2nd spot and face the 7 seed, right? Which might be Indiana or it might be Philly. We'll see what happens there, man. I would obviously prefer Indy with that one. So, yeah, big time ramifications with tonight's win. I think very likely we're now 2nd or 3rd, and a very small possibility we move down to 4. Right? It's going to require us to lose one of these next 3, and it's going to require Orlando to win all of their 3 to finish ahead of us. Right? I think Orlando will probably win both of their Bucks games, but the Philly one will be at least 50-50. Right? Joel Embiid's healthy, so and Philly obviously fighting to avoid the play-in. So, yeah, they will be fighting like hell for that. But with that said, man, salute to everyone. I mean, positive close to the season so far, and I can't wait for what's to come. And the way Tibbs is coaching this squad with the leader on the court, Jalen Brunson. I mean, I don't understand if you're a Knicks fan how you can't be excited or happy for what we've seen this season when you take into account what we've seen over the last decade, right? This is the best position we've been in, right? Even without Julius Randle, which has been, the biggest blow this season. But where we sit right now for a chance for 50 wins and 2nd seed is an outstanding accomplishment. Obviously, the playoffs, though, can write another story with that, man. Jalen Brunson and the postseason legacy from last season is going to continue. We've got defenders, shooters, grittiness, right? And right now, I'm ready to play anyone, right? No one wants to play the New York Knicks, right? So let's get it against Boston as we get back after it. Post-game live after Beantown on Thursday night in the first of a back-to-back. Welcome in, everyone. Replay squad salute. And I can't wait for that game. And then obviously Brooklyn, Chicago to close it out at MSG is going to be popping. It's going to be buzzing. And I'm ready. Let's get it. The streets are buzzing. Salute, salute. And Buzzer says B+ for Tibbs. Michael says great show. See you soon, bro. See you soon, fam. Let's get it. Orange and blue skies. Peace.